going on, guys? Dennis here. Hope you're doing good. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of the best concepts that I've learned. And I've touched on this on another video, but I really want to go in depth on this concept. And these concepts that I'm going to talk about in this video come from The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Now, I highly recommend you get this book. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description for this book if you'd like to purchase it. Let me start off by saying this channel is to talk about all things related to personal growth, personal development, financial growth, health, spiritual growth, and all things under that umbrella. I don't care what books it comes from, who said it, what religion they are. I don't care where it comes from, as long as it's something that's sound and helps someone get to the next level, pursue the idea of personal mastery, which is what I'm personally fascinated with. I believe that we're underdeveloped by default. We are underdeveloped by default. I believe that we are born with certain behaviors and certain truths that over time we do lose and shy away from. And I believe that there are also things that we learn and take on over time that we don't need, that actually are a disservice to us. And so this entire channel is made for those who are interested in personal mastery, personal development, personal growth, and really learning about themselves, how to master themselves, their mind, how to create the life that they want here on this planet, but also to learn about the hidden truths, the information that's out there that may be readily accessible, but we don't know about it, or those things that no one really talks about that are going on that need to have light shed on them. But ultimately, the entire purpose of this channel is so that not just you guys that are watching, because I'm not the all-knowing God or anything like that, but also for myself, to be able to ultimately achieve a life of health, wealth, love, and happiness, as Tai Lopez puts it, the 4 pillars of happiness, and pursue true joy, satisfaction, fulfillment with the lifestyle that we lead here. To integrate the belief systems that serve us, to remove the ones that don't, and ultimately take control over our lives so that we can help ourselves and help others, and make our world and the world a better place. So with that being said, I want to jump into the concept that I want to touch on a little bit more in detail in this video. And it comes from this book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Again, I highly recommend this book. The link will be in the description. If you've been in the personal development space for any time, you've probably heard, or maybe you have a personal experience with it, the concept and the idea of like a book changing someone's life, right? And for years I heard that, and you know, I haven't always been an avid reader, and I tend to consume information a different way, but I do enjoy reading. But I never really found a piece of information that I would say, there's a handful, I can count them on my hand, how many books or pieces of information have really made a difference for me, whether by themselves, stand alone, or that have led me to something else that was also very significant. And so in this video, I want to talk about the importance of being present. Now, actually, I've heard several other people that have personal development channels and that sort of thing touch on that, some before and some after I've read this book, but it shines light on the fact of how important it is. And if you haven't heard of this concept, the idea of being more present, hopefully after the video you have a better idea of how to integrate it into your life, how to apply those things. I do enjoy, and I think it's necessary to always touch on the practicality of something, how to apply a new lesson the most pointless thing to do is to learn something, think it was awesome, and 3 days later forget about it, go back to default, go back to your normal life as if nothing changed, right? Because words don't teach, and so we have to apply things. And so I hope that I can do that for you in this video. I'm going to try my best. Eckhart Tolle did a talk that I watched a couple years ago that kind of stayed with me. And he's an example. And I felt like he was talking to me. And this book I felt like was talking to me, which is why it was so significant to me. But he mentioned a small example of something he dealt with, and which is one of the reasons why he wrote the book. But he explains it so much more elaborately than I can. But he mentioned the idea, if you're drinking a cup of water, right? And you're lifting that cup of water. Before you even get the cup to your mouth, you're already thinking about putting it down, right? When you brush your teeth in the morning, you're not thinking about brushing your teeth. When you drive to work, you're not thinking about driving. You're thinking about what you have to do at work. When you get to work, you're not thinking about what you have to do at work. You're thinking about what you have to do when you get home, or what you'd rather do, right? And then when you get home, you're thinking about what you have to do the next day. If you are anything like me, or are anything like the way I was, you would instantly pick up the issue with that, and you would connect with that, and it'd be like a slap in the face, right? The concept of you're never being present, no matter where you are, is so amazing to me. Because the danger with that, I'm going to tell you what the danger is with that. You can go 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life being a certain way, being unaware, right? Not being present. And those years would fly right by, that when you look back, all you see those years as is like this big block of a blur. It's a big blur, right? You didn't pick up the details. You didn't pick up the lessons. You didn't analyze the things that you could have analyzed. You didn't pick up on the opportunities that were around, because your lenses, your eyes are cloudy, right? The problem with that is that the older you get, the more time passes by, the more you fall into that groove, and the deeper the trench you dig, and the more normal it is for you, and the harder it is to see that you're even doing that. Being present, to me, being present is like the left hand of awareness. To me, if you asked me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what I believed was the most important quality or skill set or personality trait someone could have, and I would say it was awareness. I would have said it was awareness, and I did then. If you ask me now, I would say it's awareness. In 25, 30, 50 years, you ask me, I'm going to tell you it's awareness. Being present is the left hand of awareness. It's the left hand of awareness. You have awareness and you have being present. Being present is the beginning of awareness. I believe that the problems that we have in today's society and the problems that people have in their own lives stems from their lack of presence. Lack of presence. I'm here, but I'm not actually here. I'm saying these things, but I don't even reflect on what I'm saying. I believe these things, but I have no idea why I believe them. I'm doing this, and I don't even know why I'm doing this, right? That's dangerous because you're operating on what's called autopilot. I did a video where I talked about you becoming you 2.0, the better version of yourself, and you can keep going from there. This book, this concept, will take you from where you are to you 2.0 by itself. By itself. This is a launch pad of the journey of your life in personal growth and development. Being present is the starting point. That allows you to do what he calls, and I got this concept from this book, and I've talked about it in another video. It allows you to do what's called becoming the watcher. This by far is my favorite topic to talk about. This is where I can say this has changed my life. not only by itself, but it has provided the launch pad for other things to come and for me to understand and to pursue more and more and more enlightenment and awareness. Becoming the watcher. Becoming the watcher. One of the best things that you can do is to analyze everything that you believe. Analyze all of your behaviors. Analyze all of your belief systems. All of them. And ask yourself, do the things that you believe, is the way that you are and the things that you do helping you? Do they make sense? Analyze them. Analyze them. This is where things get heavy. When you don't know that you're doing something, you also don't know if it's hurting you or not. Because you're not present. You are on autopilot. And autopilot is dangerous because it's going to steer you in the wrong directions, and you're going to ask yourself, how the hell did I get here? Or why am I not where I want to be? Why am I not satisfied and fulfilled with my life? Why do I not have the things that I want to have? And it's because you've been on autopilot. Autopilot is dangerous. You have to be the pilot. There is no autopilot. The autopilot is the subconscious mind. And the older you get, the deeper you fall into that trench, the stronger your subconscious mind is, and the more it controls every facet of your life. Being present is step one. I'm going to show you what this looks like. If you're in a room, right? As a matter of fact, this is what we'll do. I'm imagining that everyone watching this or potentially could watch this video is at least 18 years old, maybe 20, 21, 22, 23, right? We've all been in relationships. There are things that you did in your past relationships, whether they went right or wrong, that you did them without even being present in those moments. And if you weren't present enough to reflect on those things, you will do them again in the next relationship. You will bring the old you to the next relationship because you weren't present when you were messing up. You weren't present to understand and realize what you were doing was not in your best interest or in other person's interest, or you did them and didn't realize how much it would be an issue. So you're going to do those things in your next relationship, right? And that's just one example. How does that manifest problems into your relationship? Because you're going to be the same person in every relationship. You could date 16 people and have the same problem, and you could be the common denominator. I'm going to give you an example of a real world example that we could all relate to, right? Of how not being present manifests situations and circumstances and results, outcomes that don't serve you or that you don't want, right? Let's say you're in a relationship. X number of years, 3 years, whatever, right? When you're not present, you don't know what you're doing or saying or how you're behaving in that moment that is actually the cause for the destruction of the relationship. And that goes both ways, right? You're not aware of how the way you're being is going to change a relationship or create an outcome or create arguments and end in a big issue, right? Or a breakup, right? If you're not aware of who you're being and how you're being, what you're thinking, what you believe, the way that you're acting in that moment, you are going to self-sabotage everything. That's things that you have and you want to keep, and that's things that you want to get and you're not going to get because of that, right? And so that's just one example. Just one example. Here's the other thing. There's one thing to be aware enough, which is better than nothing, but you can be aware enough to realize that you have to reflect on how you've been in the past, right? What have been my behaviors in certain situations? How have I thought? What are my belief patterns? What What am I attached to, right? It's one thing to have the awareness to think in the past and reflect on those things and gain and gather information that you could then use for the future, which I believe most people don't do anyway. But it's another level. It's another level, and this is where I'm trying to get you to. It's another level to get to the point where you have the level of awareness, where you in real time are watching what you are thinking. You are watching how your environment is affecting you in real time. You are watching how you feel in real time. You are watching your behaviors in real time, and then can see how this is going to affect and move the ball along to create some other outcome. That's where I want to get you to. The real-time watcher. Becoming a watcher of yourself. How you feel, what you feel like you're going to do, what thoughts you're having, all of it, all of it. In that moment, in real time. I'm having a conversation with this person, they're pissing me off. In real time, as you're talking to this person or you're around this person, you are feeling, I am getting pissed off. I'm getting pissed. It's like there's two people. The person who's interacting with the other one, right? This is you interacting with the other person across the table, and you're feeling some kind of way around because of it. At the same time, there's another dialogue in your head, watching what you are saying, how you are feeling, how that other person is affecting you, what's also going on around you, and what outcome you can manipulate or change or intentionally create because of that. Now, it doesn't require you to look back a week from now, 3 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 5 years from now. So pick up the information that you could have known now to alter yourself, right? You know it now. Now, you are not yourself, and this is going to get really deep. Now you are not who you think you are. Because let me ask you a question. If you can sit down and in real time know how you're feeling and say, my heart is racing, I'm getting pissed off, this person's gonna piss me off, I'm gonna do this so and so thing, right? And you can choose how you want to feel. You can choose the level at which that other person affects you. You can choose the next words that come out of your mouth, how you say it. You can choose how you interact with your surroundings in real time. If you can watch your thoughts in real time, that means that you are not your mind. And if you're not your mind, who are you? A dog doesn't sit there and analyze its own thoughts separate from its own mind. It's a dog. They do things at the fundamental level. Animals do things at the fundamental level. If you can sit back and step away from your mind and analyze yourself in a different perspective out of your own body, that means that you're not your mind. So who are you? I love this concept. Love it. Because if you don't believe that you're full consciousness and that you are not your own body and you are not your own mind, I hope now you're starting to see that you are. You are not your own mind. How crazy is that? That's when I started to realize the level of consciousness that is out there. And I know there's levels to this that I don't even know yet. But what did that tell me? That not only can the world program you, but you can program yourself. You can not only program yourself, you can watch the programming while it's happening, right? For example, let's just say that you have probably gone through this at some level, and you know people that go through this stuff. They personalize everything. They internalize everything. They analyze everything, and it affects them dramatically because they're operating at a bare bones fundamental level. They're identified with the self. They're identified with the mind and the body. What that person says affects me. What that person did affects my ego. It's an attack, right? That's where the ego comes in, because it's a self-defense mechanism to protect you from the outside. When you can disconnect from the ego by watching the human version of yourself, the human part of yourself, that means you're not human, and now you don't have to be identified with the ego, which needs to keep feeding itself and creating problems in its mind to keep it alive, right? Which the book talks about. The ego is its own life form that wants to protect you from things that don't even exist, or over dramatize the things that do exist to give you a sense of identification, right? But if you know that you are not your mind, and at some level you're starting to pick up that you're not just human, you can then step away from the identified version of yourself, which are mine, and you can step up here, watch all this that's going on, and the things that are now coming to you, the stimulus, external stimulus is coming to you, is now no longer affecting you the way it would have, right? Let's say someone goes into an interview, right? You go into an interview, you got a couple interviews, right? And you don't get the job. You know what the basic person does? The very underdeveloped person, and I don't say that to be offensive, because I was underdeveloped too. You're going to internalize that. What did I do wrong? All these stupid people, they're wasting my time. Here you get all flustered or whatever, right? Oh, you start, maybe it affects your confidence or your self-esteem because you didn't get this job or blah, blah, blah. And your mind's going to create 1,000 scenarios that you can't even confirm any of them, right? And your ego starts kicking in. Maybe you get defensive. But the point is, you're giving it a ton of energy. You're overanalyzing it. You're internalizing it. And it's throwing you off. Because to you, this is affecting you, the person, the ego, the self-identified version of yourself. This is what's going to end up happening when you realize that you are not yourself. You are not your mind, and you are not your ego, and you don't have to internalize everything, and you don't have to let things affect you the way it affects everybody else, right? Then you could detach. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about. It's the next level version of enlightenment. The next version. Someone could call you whatever. Hey, you're a piece of shit. Da, 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 da. They can make fun of your clothes, or they could try to do anything. But the self-identified version of you is here. You've now learned to say, that's cute, human. That's cute, human part of me. You're watching the human part. You know that this person right here, the ego part, could get offended by that. Could have to react and defend itself. Because you're trying to protect your standing, your respect. But the next level of enlightenment says, you can stop in real time. And rather than automatically react because you're attacked, that person is no longer as important as they feel they are. And they're definitely not as important as they would have been to you. And now you're detached. Now that emotional part is here, but you're separate. You're back here watching you. This is trying to affect you, but you're here. Who you really are is back here. Not the human version of yourself. You're back here, and the human version of yourself, you put them there, and you watch in third person, right? You're watching yourself, and you know, haha, the old part of me would have been affected by this. I would have immediately reacted. This would have been the self-identified version of myself. All I can see is this. When you're that close in, your level of awareness is so low, you don't have access. You don't have capability to the next level of yourself. You don't even know it's there. That's even worse, right? But that's why I'm making this video. Someone could tell you something and you do not identify with it. It doesn't affect you emotionally. If people knew this, this is where the application comes in, right? If people knew this and knew it very well and were aware of this, the very large majority of mental health issues that we have today would be gone, right? Because then you could see the reality, the truth. You're not attached anymore. The book talks about attachment, identification with the ego, right? Getting out of the thing that you think is you, getting away from that, becoming a watcher. When you do that, you realize that you are not just human, and that you are much greater than human, that you have a level of intelligence and awareness that is beyond your human form, right? And then you look at other people who are not as enlightened, and you're not as affected by them anymore because you don't need to defend the ego, because you are now aware that you have an ego and that you're not going to let it run your life. And not only that you are not your ego. You can see it for what it is and put it in its place. When for everyone else, the ego completely overrides all rationality, right? It becomes your reality. And it takes over your life. This is the kind of information that is life-changing. It's life-changing because it 100% changes the way that you interact with the world and even yourself. Even yourself. If you're into meditation at all, it also enhances your meditation. Because once you realize that you're not human, then it's easier to meditate and step away from yourself and have a conversation at a different level with yourself, and not here, but up here. This is the human part of yourself. Now you know it's there. That's cute. You feel pain? That's fine. But I'm not feeling pain. The essence of me is not feeling pain. The human body's feeling pain, right? A lot of the stuff is self-inflicted. Even if it's external, it's self-inflicted because we don't have the awareness to have the proper perspective on it, right? And it's what I was just saying. When you have the proper perspective, it doesn't affect you as much. So therefore, the pain that would have been inflicted on you is just mute. It's just there. It's just this thing that went through you and it's gone because it didn't get to the point where it reached your ego, the self-identified version of who you think you are, that you have to defend, right? And it's easier to not let things affect you emotionally, but it's also easier to get over the things that you've been through already. Because you can understand this, and this is kind of deep, and I've heard this other times, but I agree with it. We are not humans having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. When you see that for what it is, and you understand that, and that's clear to you, you can operate on a completely different level and frequency in your days, right? The things that would normally affect you don't anymore, or they don't as much, right? And this is something that you also have to work on. You start catching yourself because you're going to fall. I'm telling you right now, you're going to fall right into the default. You want to fight falling into the default. Default is where you die, because the default is what I was talking about before, the underdeveloped version of yourself, the unenlightened, unaware, underdeveloped person that you are naturally. You know some things, but you're here because you haven't really educated and really focused on growth and built yourself up. When you get to that point, you're a more enlightened version of yourself. Things are different to you. The things that affect the regular average person don't affect you. And you can see things for what they are rather than right here, right? There are times, for example, let's say you want something to happen, it doesn't happen for you, right? Let's say you wanted to get the job and you didn't get the job. The average person is going to be pissed off. I didn't get that job. What am I going to do to it? I'm tired of applying, blah, 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 right? That's just one example. Or let's say you're in a relationship and you felt like you gave everything that you needed to give, and you were a good person in the relationship, and it didn't work out. The other person screwed you. Now, rather than having that feeling of like this person attacked me, and like that hatred and that emotion that you carry on for a while afterwards, it kind of dissipates because you see them for something else, you see yourself for something else. You're not identified with who you are. It was about them and what they were not willing to do. Not necessarily you did something wrong and like now you need to attack this person or get back at them or whatever the case would be. There's no need to like protect yourself as much anymore because things are clearly cut. They're clear cut. Your problem is your problem. Your reality is your reality. My reality is my reality. And that's it. Right? That might have been that other person self-sabotaging the relationship, which I mentioned, right? Not knowing that they were doing that because they weren't present and aware. They didn't have the faculty and the capability to understand what they're doing and what it's going to create. But you want to get to the point where you can sit in any situation, and you carve out a space in real time, where you can, hey, I'm thinking this is, I'm starting to get tense. I'm starting to get negative. Something's going on. You're starting to get negative. No, we're not going to do that. Whereas you might have been a negative person for the last 20 years. And you didn't even know you were a negative person. And all things keep happening to you. And you're like, why do these things keep happening? It's because you're a certain way over and over again and you don't even realize it. You're operating on autopilot inside of that trench that you've been digging. Carve out a space in a situation. Slow time. I call it slowing down time. And it doesn't have to be even an important situation, right? You go to a bar and you sit down. Look at the glass that you're drinking from, right? Look at the drink that you're drinking from. Really taste the drink. Look at the people that are next to you, on your left and your right. Look around the room and see what people look like and what they're wearing, how they're interacting with each other. Talk to the bartender, right? Look at the bartender in their eyes. Listen to the music, right? Because there's usually so much going on that you don't ever like separate the stimulation. You don't separate anything. It's just a blur. It's like a mixture of stuff coming at you. You slow down time and you start picking up the details and the little things. Look at the table. This is huge because it's almost like, it's kind of where that saying comes from, stop and smell the roses, right? Smell the roses. We walk around beautiful things every single day, but we don't see it. There's a difference between viewing something and seeing something. Your eyes view stuff all the time, but you're not actually taking in any details and information because we're running on autopilot. You're not being present. One thing I do now when I drive, I try not to have like music playing and stuff like that, unless I'm intentionally like watching something personal development related. But I'll just drive. Look at the signs, look at the cars, look around. How many times have you, I don't know if this happened to you, it's happened to me plenty of times. I'll do the same trip over and over and over for a month. And then there'll be times like I'm more present and I'm like, this restaurant is here. I never seen this restaurant. Or I never seen this gas station here. Or I didn't know this mall was here. I've driven here 1,000 times. I never noticed this was here. Because we're on autopilot. Which you want to turn off. You want to turn off the autopilot and you want to be engaged with your environment and your surroundings. Learn people's names, right? Stop and compliment someone on their shoes or something. We're always so self-absorbed. Always so self-absorbed. That's the problem. When you're so self-absorbed, you are so identified with yourself, right? And you start picking up these little patterns that you have. Oh, I noticed that I feel better when I post pictures up on Instagram and I get likes. That's a behavior pattern. Huh. Do I seek external validation? Do I need that? Why do I need that? I don't want to need that. It sucks. That's stupid. Patterns about yourself. I notice that I eat this way, or we all have behavior patterns that we've had for forever. We don't even question them. But progress and success lies in your ability to see the things that you're doing wrong, to change the old habits, create new ones that serve you, and you're intentionally becoming the person that you want to be so that you can move forward, right? If you don't do that, you can't move forward. And that's why I wanted to talk about this particular topic, right? Because as you get older, it gets more difficult because you start adding layers of, I wouldn't call them filters, but your eyes become a filter where you're filtering out the things that you should be seeing, but they're not there. Your eyes are not capable of seeing it because you've caked on issue after issue after identification after identification after belief after belief on your eyes, and you can't see what's really there. Right? But when you disidentify with who you are, you just take that away because you're not trying to defend yourself or some ego, right? Then you can have fun with life because you don't take things so seriously. It's more about self-amusement and having experiences more than trying to manipulate and control every little thing and just try to be attached to some outcome. When you're not attached to what other people see about you and who you think you are, things don't affect you as much. You're not attached. And I think that's when you can responsibly interact with society. Our problem in this society is that we're taught attachment. We don't know how to deal with ourselves in the situations that come up when we lose things because we're taught to be attached but not how to let things go, right? For example, let's say you're in a bad relationship that you know you need to get out of. You're too attached to the relationship. You're too attached to that other person. You're too attached to this idea in your mind of a long-term relationship or whatever the case may be that you may be looking for. You're too attached to validation or not being alone. You're too attached to your own feelings because you're operating here, right? And I've gone through certain experiences that have taught me that, bro, this happened to you because you were too attached. This is what you should be doing. This is how you should be interacting with the world. These are the lessons that you should learn and apply this, right? Because I look back to see what I did wrong, what things I did right, and how I can change things the next time. What lessons could I glean from that, right? And also, in real time, now I'm at the next level. At the next level. In a situation, I'm having two conversations in any given situation. Two. The one with whomever is talking to me, and the one with who I really am that's talking to the human version of myself through the mind. Through the mind. And I can determine how I feel, when I feel it, if I feel it, how much I feel it, what I'm thinking, if I shouldn't be thinking that, and always in real time. You want to, right? Because everyone says stay positive, be positive all the time. That doesn't mean shit. How do you apply be positive? That doesn't mean anything. There's no practical way of doing that. There's no lesson behind that. There's no concept, no message, no foundation to that. You know how you become positive all the time? When you realize when you're being negative. How could you be positive all the time when you don't realize when you're being negative in the moment? There's a thing called momentum, and I could talk about this. We'll talk about this in another video. There's a thing called momentum. Energy is momentum. You can have a little bit of energy in something and cancel and kill it off. Or if you're negative, longer and longer and longer, now that thing has momentum and now it's harder to cancel out and try to think about something else to be positive. So you have to be real time. I'm thinking about this thing, cut, and go do something else, go think about something else. And it's easier because there's not enough momentum, and now you can be positive about something. I don't even like the word positive. It's stupid to me, but real time watching is what you want to be. When you become a full-time, real-time watcher of yourself, then you can control your life. Then you know how to manipulate situations. Then you know how to do things intentionally to create an outcome that you want. You know what's going to happen before it happens, and you're creating in the moment, and you know when not to allow something to affect you and when to allow something to affect you. Your conscious mind becomes a filter. This is not going to get in, and this is not coming out of me. I'm not saying this, I'm not going to do this. I know I'm going to walk into the situation, and these people are going to be this way to me, but I'm not going to let it affect me because now I know that they're going to try to, but because I'm not the identified version of myself, I'm not being attacked, I'm not defending an ego or this self-proclaimed version of who I think I am, I'm not that person. So you could talk all this shit you want to me because I'm not that person, right? And I hope you get to the point where you realize that. And when we realize that, then things become easier, right? When you attack someone else, that shows your level of weakness, your level of underdevelopment, your lack of awareness, right? Because you're trying to attack me, but you don't know that I'm not capable of being attacked that way, right? It's just like it's a whole different world. It's a whole different world. Because here's the thing, when you can control your emotions, no one can mess with you. When you control your emotions and your thoughts, that's when you become powerful. Because then you can do whatever you want in any situation. Feel however you want to feel. And it's up to you. Whereas most people operate in a society where any little thing, any single person could just throw them off. And they're not in control of their emotions. But when you're aware, that guy that cut you off on the road, you're not going to piss me off, bro. So whatever, I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. If you're identified with yourself, you think he cut you off. Now it's personal. Now you internalize that. And now you're cursing and you wait and your middle finger over here and you're gunning it. It's something small became a big deal. What he did was not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of him. Let that be his problem. Don't let it affect you so much where it alters your emotions and your thought process and your vibrations, right? But I don't want to make this video super long. I hope you got something out of that. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a comment or a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and subscribe, turn on notifications so you can see more videos like this as I post them up. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos much more regularly. But with that being said, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. with the music up.
Yeah. So tell me what you wanna do. Do you wanna be like everybody, focusing on money, getting power, and better than we gotta do? But you gotta take control back out of your show them that we got more power, cause united we all stand, but divided we all yeah. Most of y'all know that line, but don't care. Y'all scared of who you are. How can that be? You incarnated in this planet from the stars just like me. You are breathing the same oxygen like everyone you see. So homie,